And we are live, if everything's joined up, which I think it has. This is episode 188 of the Phil Swallow podcast, broadcasting live on YouTube, Monday, the 24th of November, 2025. And afterwards it'll be on audio also, if you subscribe that way. But of course, some of the visual things that appear on here won't be on the audio. Anyway, that's obvious. Great to see you all. There's a few logged in already. Thank you very much. Looks like my constant reminders, well, 3 reminders, memory jogs are doing a job. So here we've got Andy. Hey, it's a new week, Andy. Yes, it is indeed. Plants in general, hi. Hi to you. Hi to, I think, Sheila. Whitehead, 51 it says. Recently been to Croham Hurst Woods, and I hope you enjoyed it. I feel I got lucky with the weather when I filmed that one. Hi Julie, hi David, good luck to today's live. Thank you very much indeed. Add that to broadcast, look at that, good luck. The post-it note did its job today. I hope you're all doing well. And we've got an evening from Jeff, evening from Magrat. Great to see you all. It's funny because I do what I call an agenda for these talking points really, and today I had an apology for absence, so it's not quite like a corporate meeting, but you get the idea. So Declan won't be with us tonight, unfortunately. He's going to pick it up in the replay. So a shout out to Declan, because I know he normally says keep hitting the like. So in the absence of Declan, keep hitting the like. Oh blimey, Jeff. Here's a confession. I'm afraid I haven't, Jeff. When I talk about just how life has been since the last show, during the course of this show, then my apology might add some weight, so I must make a point of doing that. I'm going to be in the area tomorrow. Hi Rick, nice to see you. 5th place in the table, Andy. Yeah, how can it be happening? It's long may it continue, Andy. We've done so well since the cup final win to keep pushing and upsetting the established order. Evening Altenburg Eagles, evening Merlin's Cat. I love that. Julie's got new kittens, and hopefully they've stopped doing what you new kittens do, or at least curtailed it a bit, no pun intended. But they look lovely in the little pictures I've seen, so brilliant. Yes, they're fascinated. I mean, who wouldn't be? Who would not be fascinated? Hey Phil, up the Eagles, lovely to see. Yeah, it's been great. I'm delighted with Crystal Palace. So really, it's just, as I say, it's been complete madness. Look at this, plants in general. Everyone's smashed that like. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been madness. I do an agenda. It'll be part reacting to the comments as usual, which I love to do. Keep that flow going. But then I'll talk about some of the things, some of the kind of behind the scenes things, some of the things that I do to fill my time when I'm not doing these and I'm not making videos and I'm not being part of the council for CNHSS and the Bourne Society, etc, etc, etc. Glasner teams start slow, so hopefully the only way is up. Yeah, I like that. Books are the books. Yeah, there weren't vintage books when you mentioned it, Jeff, but they are now vintage books. So let's start with one thing that we sort of covered towards the end, which is Sue had her treatment last week in Royal Marsden in London, and it went well. That was great. She was only actually in the treatment table for about 20 minutes, well, the machine that does the radiotherapy to her acoustic nerve in her ear, affects hearing. And she got a kind of thumbs up, because sometimes it takes longer because people actually move around and you're meant to sit still, because obviously there's things firing radiation at you. So that was good. The journey up there, not so good, because it was snowing on the day. That didn't really affect it. This is last Wednesday. Then we were checking that the trains and tubes would be running. They were all fine. The one thing we didn't check was how the roads would be for us to get the relatively short distance from home to Hayes Station. There was a bad traffic accident that closed both sides of Kent Gateway, and it was snarled up, and it was most stressing. But I'm pleased to say we did a bit of a detour. We just missed the target train that we then got from West Wickham rather than Hayes. Just missed it by a minute, but we did get up there. Got an Uber the other end and made up time, but it wasn't ideal. I've learned some lessons in that, shall we say. Love the lives, brilliant, and I love doing them. So more the merrier, the more engagement the better. This is I'm just to an early kind of notice. I'm still going to do one of these next month, so it'll be Twixtmas, betwixt whatever that period is that they named it, between Christmas and New Year. So yeah, that's going to be it'll still fall in on a Monday, I think, a Monday or Tuesday. And I know people have stuff going on, but also sometimes you want to get away from that stuff that's going on. So a Christmas show of sorts will be held at that time. And thank you very much for sending regards through to Sue. Really appreciate that. So that was that. And on the day, this is last Wednesday, of Sue going, I've just been buzzed on my phone. So one thing I didn't do on my little checklist that isn't a checklist is put do not disturb on my phone. I've now done that. On the day that Sue went in to get the treatment, my mum fell out of bed, hurt herself, and was needed to be taken by ambulance into hospital, which thankfully my brother and sister could oversee, and she's been in hospital ever since. I spent the afternoon there. All sorts of things flying around at the moment. She's very frail. She's quite strong generally, but there's a few things that test that at times in life. So at the moment, it's various conversations with various doctors and things, and there is a plan to get her back home with a bit of additional care. She already has a care visit 3 times a day. So yeah, there's all that going on, and that's a physical thing, as any of you that have been through it know, because you're here, there and everywhere, but it's kind of also ongoing mentally as well. So again, having brother and sister helps the load no end. So appreciate Jill and Neil there. So a bit of family kind of getting together and tackling all these various things that life throws at us. And yeah, I mean, just my spread of time obviously has to factor that in, in terms of time for videos and history and things like that. But actually this sort of helps me to manage those kind of things. If I know I've got this to cling to, and going to watch Palace. But yeah, so you have to have I feel you have to have a mix of things that you can get involved in wherever possible. And it helps to keep you active and brain active and all those things. So Jeff, send mum love, show her a picture of me, that'll cheer her up. Well, we'll have to build up to that, I think, mate. But I will send your love. Martin, good evening to you, and thanks for the reminders. Yep. Croham Hurst, love the vid. Used to regularly walk there. What a day, yes indeed, and thank you for your best wishes. Really appreciate that. So some of the things that have happened since then. So let's go. I mean, I've got to say it's a rough order, but Croham Hurst went live. I really enjoyed doing that video. Lovely place. And often there's things that come out since then. I'm always looking at maps, but also looking at aerial photography on the Historic England Aerial Explorer website, which is wonderful. And you just kind of get a different appreciation on things. Some of those, most of them are top down, bird's eye. somewhat oblique views, which someone mentioned on here once before. And it's a really great way of getting an understanding of our surroundings, and sort of helps to build that picture, that history picture. So yeah, Croham Hurst live. I puzzled you a little bit with the picture that I posted the other day of where I'd been filming, because I picked another lovely day. This was at the beginning of last week, and that's West Wickham. So West Wickham Part 3, that's filmed, and I'm editing it at the moment. I plan to get it live. Well, it will go live by hook or by crook before the end of the month, ideally towards the end of this week, so I get the weekend viewers. But really nice weather, and I've packed a lot into that one. Nice walk, again, nice weather, and a great subject. Now I've dug deep into West Wickham, I just think it's a fantastic place, that area. So following on from that, either side of it, I've still got to do some stuff at Addiscombe. I've still got to do Coney Hall, and that might be the limit of the boundary, because otherwise it starts growing arms and legs, and I've got so much that I still want to cover here. So that's still something in plan of my ever-growing list. Yeah, thank you. You're right, Martin. That is life. That is life indeed. So yeah, West Wickham on its way is the best I can say there. And it's just one thing I did call out in the video, because I spent reasonable amount of time there. St John's Church, that's next to Wickham Court, amazing place. I actually studied some of the Commonwealth war graves that are there, but on Find a Grave, well, I mean, you tell me. I quite like looking around graveyards, and I hope that's from a historical perspective. Mark Willis, a neighbour who I bumped into yesterday, who sometimes joins us, we were talking about graveyards and gravestones and everything in Marks and Spencer's in West Wickham yesterday. Doesn't get any more rock and roll than that. So yeah, I might do a kind of filmed thing where I look for some graves that people have requested information on Find a Grave. I don't know. I might film it, and if I like the look of it, or I share it with the members, I'll put it live, because I don't want it to just bomb the channel, but I'll try and make it as entertaining and engaging as I always try. So that's West Wickham. Look forward to that one. Surprised how much it was in Grange Woods and Croham Hurst. Fascinating. Look forward to the next one. Thanks very much, mate. Yes, I mean, Grangewood Park, amazing place, which hopefully you've all seen now. And I know people are connected to the Norwood Society, so there may be some other follow-ups. The one theme which keeps coming back to me is what I partially explored on the Birdhurst videos, which is the Victorian and in some ways Edwardian arts and crafts style architecture we've got in Croydon. It is fantastic, and I just don't think it's celebrated enough. So I am going to include that either specifically or as part of other stories, because I just think some of these properties are standing there today. They're repurposed, no doubt, as flats and that kind of thing now, but I just think they're wonderful to the eye. And I'd like to think you guys also appreciate where I'm coming from in picking out that beauty. Cemeteries, yes please, brilliant. See, I've got another thing I'm going to ask you to get involved in a bit later, but stay tuned on that one. A nice lot of likes coming in, thank you. So one of the things I partially mentioned before was the talk that Sanderstead History Group held at the last meeting at the end of October, and that was Richard Pacitti's talk on the Pacitti Ice Cream story. Wonderful talk, one of the best audiences we've had. We almost ran out of chairs. It was a packed house. Richard did a wonderful talk, and we've been still continuing with some of the research threads that we had to put that together, and we're going to film Richard's story. Within that, we also feel we've got some subject matter around the Windmill Road area. Again, things that we would have known, had a connection to in the past that are still there now. And also there's an emerging story about the Italian community and how they settled in Croydon around about the turn of the 19th century, 19th to the 20th century. There's all sorts of stories that have come out. The newspaper archive is full of them. So, but Richard and I are going to start with the ice cream story, and I think you'll like it. Richard's very, very good relaxed on camera, and so I think we'll do a nice double act on that one. We've got a restaurant update. Here we go. Right, new openings in the area: Sanderstead Blip, Oxted Medora Bar and Kitchen, and Caterham Brick Stop. I also saw one, I think it's a Turkish place, where the NatWest was in West Wickham High Street. Oh, there you go. Blip. Whereabouts is Blip, Ramsey? I've been to Maple, that's fairly new, and the Mojito place on the corner of Cranley Gardens sells coffee for £1, which is a nice way to entice you in the door. What else have we got? Hopefully I've not missed any of the... I'll keep an eye out on the comments as we're going. Old Alders building opening up again on the High Street. Yeah, I've not been to that one yet, Anthony. Part of me wanted to wait and see if it would survive long term, i.e. into the new year. So, but anything that can bring people into Croydon is good. Have I been inside Woodside Court yet? No, still waiting for the invite. So I haven't actually gone and inquired in the co-op there, but I'm not ruling it out. If I'm in the area, my dentist is along there, so next time I go there, maybe I'll call in. So yes, so I've mentioned Richard's Talk, Pacitti Ice Cream, Windmill Road area, Bangole, which I think is a term that some people may know for that particular area. There's a couple of things that came out. I don't know if any of you have seen the recent Alan Partridge series. He's basically looking at mental health, but it's still Alan Partridge doing a comedy show. Steve Coogan, obviously, alter ego, I think they call it. And he says, "How are you?" It's Alan Partridge. How are you? It's very funny. I like Steve Coogan. I've seen him live before. I've always followed the Alan Partridge stuff ever since it first came out on Radio 4 in the 90s. But there's a couple of bits that Sue said, "That's you," or she just gave me that wry smile, because there's one where he's walking along with a 360 camera going across hills making a vlog. And in another one, he has an interest in electricity substations, which I have called out once or twice in the past, but some of them are quite nice buildings that have that historical interest look, as well as water buildings that provide a water function, so not just toilets. So anyway, I just mentioned that Alan Partridge, if you're watching it. Also, I think it's meant to be filmed in Norwich, but much of it is filmed in Farnborough, Kent. So if you know that area, you might recognise some of the places. In fact, his very house is an Oast house, which is very much a Kent thing. So yeah, Alan Partridge. Is it called How Are You or something? But anyway, Alan Partridge, check that out. While we're having a football moment, a shout out for AFC Wimbledon, an appearance at Wembley last May, promotion to the Isthmian South East, and currently in second spot in the table, 2 above AFC Croydon. Now, I'm actually going to put that on the screen. So AFC Wimbledon, AFC Whiteleaf, sorry. There is an AFC Wimbledon. Yeah, well done, Whiteleaf. Cool. Wife bumped into Ronnie Corbett in the Sanderstead Waitrose once. I bumped into Jason Punchin, John Solarco and Andy Woodman in the Sainsbury's in Wallingham. I saw Charlie Cray in Sainsbury's at Wallingham years ago. He's passed away now. And Jeff can tell you all you need to know about the Cray brothers. That's another story. Not for this show today. Other things that I've got involved with. Fairly spur of the moment thing. I'm pretty certain I posted a few images. I went to the Lady Mayor's show up in London. I used to photograph that quite regularly and upload the photos to stock sites, typically Alamy, sometimes Shutterstock. And I thought, well, why don't I make it easier myself? Rather than go there early to get a good spot and see the parade as they come out from Mansion House, I'll pick a different spot for the later bit where they've had their lunch break or whatever, and they make their way back towards Mansion House. And I got a spot on the north side of the Thames, just along from Blackfriars Bridge. There's no barriers in the way. Very lightly marshalled and policed at that point. I had a lovely spot, great light, and got a lovely set of photos. I've posted some of them on Facebook and Instagram. There's probably still some more that I might go and do a kind of later post, because I was very pleased with the output from that. So that was something. So I still like to keep my hand in with photography, but this sort of stuff is obviously the main thing. But the skills and things are complementary, really. What you're trying to capture. You're trying to tell a story with what you point your lenses at. Not lenses, yeah. Other things. Yes, David Olusoga. My computer's just told me that Do Not Disturb is put on. I put it on 20 minutes ago. Anyway, David Olusoga. Sue bought me tickets last Christmas for a show that he was doing called A Gun Through Time at the Barbican, and it was in November, so we went up there. Really nice complex up there, the Barbican. Used to work near there. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate that. And David's a great storyteller. We'd seen him a couple of weeks prior to that down in Dorking, which I mentioned at the last show, where it was History's Missing Chapters. And this was 4 guns. These guns have been made safe. They were on the stage. So there was a musket, Lee Enfield rifle, the Thompson submachine gun, otherwise known as a Tommy gun, and the Maxim machine gun. And the first half of the show was the first 3 guns, and then the second half of the show was all about the Maxim. And incredible how all of those guns played a part in history. The Lee Enfield rifles survived the 2 main wars and beyond. The Tommy gun was probably most famous for the Valentine's Day Massacre in Chicago, and ultimately with a modification to the magazine it became the standard army submachine gun. The Maxim was a killing machine designed in 1884 and still used to this day in Ukraine to shoot down drones. It was that good a design. But David just told such a great story. And of course he's been on TV recently, and he's been on the Empire series on Empire. So that fills in a lot of blanks about bits of the history that we may know and other bits that perhaps we may not want to know, but they are real truths. Yeah, I can see how you mean by him coming over as a bit dull. I don't know how he was on Traitors because we didn't see Traitors. But I guess I've tuned into him over watching him for quite a few years now and having a couple of his books and things. So, but yeah, that Gun Through Time. They did which was really clever. So one of his shows was broadcast live. So if you couldn't get to the show, you could go online and buy a ticket. And they also did this thing where there was some audience participation, and they put a QR code on the screen at the beginning. And with your mobiles, there were polls that were put up, and only in the first section, really, you would answer questions like, have you ever fired a gun? And then, various things like that. And quite clever the way they did that interaction, because we've always got our phones, haven't we? And rather than telling you to switch them off, it was a case of, use your phones for the next part of the show. So that was cool. Right, what have we got next? In-person walks. So thank you for those that have signed up in the last show. That was on the QR code thing that links to all my bio site. I've still got the link on there. You can still use that code to sign up. I've also on my website, so if you go to philswallow.com, at the very top there's an in-person walk sign up. You can click on there, put in your basic details, and again I'm collecting the information. I need to probably get a few more engaged, put you all on a WhatsApp list and a WhatsApp group, and then we'll start to get things moving. It's unlikely to happen before Christmas now, but the aim is that the walks are an hour-ish, maybe an hour and a quarter, hopefully finish in a place we can get a cup of tea or coffee, and all tarmac. So I'm not planning that we're going hiking, basically. So areas that are mainly kind of street related. So I've got an idea that I haven't committed to writing yet, but it's kind of Hamsey Green area, which is very close to me. Right, arts and crafts favourite style, really with me on that. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, I mean, I probably need to brush up on some of the technical architectural terms. That's something that, sorry, it's a smoothie. No alcohol. No, I'm speaking as if I've had alcohol. No alcohol. That wouldn't be good. Yeah, so, yes, sign up if you can, if you're interested, and we'll meet up the general areas that I've covered, and we'll do a walk. And if they take off, they take off. And if they don't, then no biggie. I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. Walking, I'm retired, I'll follow you in the car. Or just borrow one of those e-bikes. No, that's another story. Now, I haven't done a screen share for a little while, but before I do that, I'm going to intro to this. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Have any of you heard of World's End? World's End. Bit more information. It's sort of between Tilling Down in Caterham and Marden Park in Woldingham. There's a derelict house there, and I'm thinking of filming it, or because I want to understand its story. This will be a video where I want to understand what it was all about and why it ended up derelict. Because a few people have asked. Urban Countryman on Facebook, who's brilliant photographic eye and wonderful set of pictures he puts through his day. There is a World's End in Chelsea, but this is most definitely the one in Surrey. So let's go to screen share and let me call up my browser first and hope that this works. Right. What you should see now, and I'll wait for you to do a yes if you can see it. And in the sort of top middle of the screen, yeah, there is definitely another World's End in Chelsea. As I found out when I was doing the research, that in the newspaper archive, when I was seeking desperately to find information about it, I had to filter the search down to Surrey and southeast rather than London. Otherwise, it would just throw me all over the place. Walked past it a few years back at the top of the hill. Yes, you can see it. Brilliant. Okay. So this map, I couldn't get the map, but this is probably about the 1940s, something like that. Tilling Down Farm. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to slide between the two maps. Right. Hopefully you can still see this. A22. So this is the Caterham bypass. Fairly newish road, but I drove along it today. 50-mile-an-hour limit. And my mouse has now stopped. There we go. Then Tilling Down Lane comes off of there and goes into this area. Now, this is all new build properties built in, say, the last 10 years. A walk that I did a couple of summers ago, I walked through and saw all that area. I had a most beautiful summer's day. So just to go back. So it was Tilling Down Farm. There are some urban exploration videos, urbex videos on YouTube when this was still standing as a farm. People went out and filmed it. And one of the guys I think who did it has actually been in touch with me on the channel, which is great, when I put up my video about the walk. So, and I think it was, I'm not sure if it was ever fenced off as such, but there was quite a bit of exploration and some people had some ghostly tales about it and all that. But anyway, so Tilling Down Farm, and there is, I'll show you on the newer image here. So once you go through there's this lovely pathway that takes you all down a hill, and it's quite a well-made pathway. This area here was a rifle range, okay, and it was used, I believe, possibly up until World War II. And World's End is about here. Now I can possibly zoom in. I mean, I'm zooming in, but you're not really going to see a lot. But this sort of area is where the actual house was. I don't know if it shows up on that other map. Oh yes, look, a block. So I'll go back to the other image. And I did find on YouTube, when I was looking into this last week, someone's filmed a walk along this footpath. The actual footpath number escapes me. I'm guessing FP29, but Martin may know, someone may know. But this, on his walk, he literally walked all the way along here. It wasn't one of mine where I'm rabbiting all the time. It was just a video there was sound, the general sound of, you know, the wind and whatever. But he didn't turn the camera around, and it wasn't a 360 video. he carried on all the way along the path until it goes down towards Marden Park. Urban Countryman on his Facebook page, in fact, you can almost see. I don't know how good this will be. I'm zooming into well, it's a bit artifacty that way. But you can kind of see some sort of outline stuff going on there. So I think this is the general boundary of the property. And I mentioned earlier on about how I'd spent time on the Aerial Explorer site. In there's some quite good imagery of this building from 1946-47. And the aerial image seems to be dominated by what looks to be a barn roof, like a curved roof maybe. The story for this building might be that it's as simple as it was a farm building. Certainly a house, but there was likely a barn as well. And I don't know when occupation of the property ended. There is information, there's census information. Well, in fact, it goes back to tithe map, I believe. So that's early part of the 1800s, no, mid 1800s tithe maps. There are census returns. There's a family called Jupp on the electoral roll in the 1930s. There is a reference. So what happened is, just going back on myself, Marden Park used to hold garden events every year for the estate. So they would open it up for the workers to have fun and games and sports and entertainment, all that sort of stuff. And there is reference to a Mrs. Jupp of World's End Cottage winning a prize for a £2 fruitcake. And that's in the 1930s. I believe the owner of the Marden Park estate passed away in 1939 or 1940. One of the things that pretty much all of the maps, and certainly the modern maps show, if I go zoom back out again, is that where would you join from a road perspective for such a house? So this on maps has been either a bridleway or a footpath, but you've got the new Tillingdown estate here. A lot of it is private. You have to kind of watch where is footpath and where's not. But this is footpath, so all the way down here, all the way along, and then it carries on down to Marden Park. So I wonder if at some point they said, but they couldn't get permission, or they weren't, or didn't even try to get permission for maybe a road vehicle to get there, and it kind of outlived its life as a working farm, and they just let it go. And perhaps also there may have been some selling off of parts of the estate when the owner, whose name escapes me, the owner of the estate passed away. So that could be part of the story of World's End. And one of the reasons that I mention such things on these shows, I've lost a few people, sorry. One of the reasons that I mention that is because often you guys are really clued up to know stuff. Either you watching tonight or people who might watch further down the line. So my appeal is, if you know anything about the wider story of World's End, please let me know. It's quite prominent on maps. I believe it's still on the Ordnance Survey maps today. It's got World's End as a marker, as a place. So if you know anything, let me know in the comments, or email me at phil@philswallow.com. I may just go out and do it anyway. So I've got partial information to tell a story, but this might be a bit of a flipped video in that I don't know all the information to tell you, but if I tell you what I do know, you guys then might be able to come back and fill in the blanks and then maybe develop the story a bit more. It just fascinates me when there's a house that people would have lived in. They were on the electoral roll. They won a fruitcake. No doubt other stories were involved there. But what happened? Where did they go? Just don't know. Jeff, that is a really good point, because that was exactly my thinking. I think I put a comment like that. I did some research when it was first posted on Facebook, and its proximity to the rifle range is very close. If the rifle range finished its main use around the time of World War II. And that's the time when the Marden Park estate owner passed away, and there was some dividing up of land and that kind of thing. There was also the Greenbelt Act coming in a few years later. Don't know. It could be that there's not much of a story. But I think it should still be quite interesting. Well, it's a nice walk. It really is. I've done it in the summer. I'll do it in the winter. Point the camera. You can't get close to all the angles, but I think you can get fairly close. So... okay. Thank you, Martin. So, something in one of the Bourne Society records, possibly in a state worker's cottage. That would make sense. That would make complete sense. I did reach out to my Bourne Society colleagues in the council, and I was given the number of Jenny King, who looks after Woldingham History Group. So, I've emailed her to see if she can add anything to it, because it's likely to be connected to the Marden Park story in some way, I would think. So, yeah, World's End. The Larches is still, something I've got planned. I actually referenced that briefly when I was filming the other day. Did I cut it, or did it make the... I think it probably is in. Because I came out not where I was completely expecting to come out, which, as you know, as often the case with my videos, when I go off piste. So that's something to look forward to in the West Wickham one. Yeah, so this time of year there's all sorts going on, and additional all sorts going on, certainly in the Swallow household this time. But I do want to get a couple of little videos out still before Christmas, and I'll do my best to do that. One of them may be a street one. I'm not going to rush the one with Richard about the ice cream story, but it's likely to happen maybe early part of the new year. I'm also doing some work with Sandsted Residents Association for their centenary, which is coming up. I'll be giving a talk at their AGM next May. So actually, I'm just thinking, Martin, on your comment, the indexes of all the local history records are online, aren't they? So if it's not in one of the actual books, it may be in one of the local history records. So I'll revisit that and see what I can find. So I appreciate that. And Ramsey, just picking up on your earlier comment, yeah, very nice luxury houses around Tillingdown area. Looks a very nice part of the world to live, just at the kind of top of the hill there. So, yes. Right, what else have we got? I mention it every month, but the water history, it will happen. Also, someone, I'm going to do, and again, this might happen before Christmas, the Hamsey Green Airfield video that I did was one of my first videos, actually. It was slightly different format, and I want to tell the story or retell the story. It's in the book that's in your sister's porch. I want to retell the story of the Hamsey Green Aerodrome and add another couple of elements to it, purely because I've found so much more about that story since. And a week or so ago, a guy got in touch with me who'd read the blog that I did on my website about Hamsey Green, which was a bit of a halfway house. So I took some of the material that I use in the talk, wrote a blog. So there's a reference there to it if someone's Googling it. Anyway, he got in touch with me and said that there was a book written by Alex Henshaw, who was a pilot in the 30s, an air race pilot, as Charles Gardner was from Hamsey Green. And it made quite a few nice references to Charles Gardner, and I feel I got to know a bit more about him and what he was all about and his motivations for air racing and stuff. So I can include some of those in summary form in the revised video. Did I notice they cut down a lot of trees on that side of the A22 Caterham bypass recently? I must admit I did not notice that, Ramsey, and as I say, I actually drove along there today, so I'm not sure what I missed there. So I'll tell you what I did notice. What road were we going down the other day? We were driving down a Kent Gateway, coming back from Sue's hospital visit or treatment, and I think they must have some sort of probably quite devastating attachment that they put onto a vehicle, probably a tractor, that cuts away at the hedge on the side of the road, because it looks probably like on an arm or something. It looks like they've put it there It's hacked at all the trees and hedges and shrubs along the side of Kent Gateway. No clean cuts at all. They're all kind of literally torn. And on the grass verge below is all this tree debris. And I don't know if there are plans to clear that up. This will probably be on the Surrey side rather than, or the Croydon side rather than the London Borough Bromley side. But it just looked like a right mess. I'm sure I've seen those sort of things that they use in a dense hedge in country lanes and things. And you have to be careful about what time of year you would do such things. But obviously no nesting going on as such at the moment. So yeah. That was a right old mess that we noticed, and of course on the Kent Gateway, you often notice these things because you're rolling along in traffic. So, have I covered everything? Sue, Richard, Ice Cream, Windmill Road, because the old wash house building in Windmill Road is still there. That's what I noticed, and at the St James's Road end. Brilliant houses, amazing houses, so they will feature at some point. Driving past Southern Parade of shops at Hamsey Green recently, I glimpsed a familiar name from the past. A ghost outline of the word sweetware. Ah, sweetware. Arthur used to run that with his wife, and we used to go up there to get our papers. I don't know why we went past one to that one. Maybe the service is better. I used to get my Airfix and Tamiya models from Arthur's or Sweetware. I don't know if that's still there, Martin. I might have to go up and try and capture that. And also, thank you, Martin, for sending me an email the other day, because the hoardings were taken down in front of the Leslie Arms in Croydon, and it looked better as a result. But I don't know what's happening going forward there. But that's a really nice building, and it's on the books of the Victorian Society. It is protected, but it's always a case of what they're going to do next with it. So I'll have to do that when I'm passing through Hamsey Green tomorrow. And Jeff, I think you sent me. If you haven't, you might want to resend me an email with the book, not the books, your sister's address. I think it was Wentworth Way, but anyway, we'll go there and pick those up. Right, what else have we got? I think they are all my agenda items. So we are now obviously entering that season of eek. We haven't done any Christmas shopping yet, but we will get there. And Julie, we got that quiz next week, haven't we? So that's in the diary. David Lean and all that. Delights at the fragrant Raquel from accounts will be delivering on Wednesday. Is everyone looking forward to the delights that the fragrant Raquel from accounts will be delivering on Wednesday? I'm lost. Yeah, I'm lost. Sorry, you'll have to fill me in. I haven't said much about the big issue in Godstone with, let me guess, the road that won't be open. Repair substance will take at least a year, as SCC has underestimated the extent of mining in the area. It does make you think just what they're going to have to do to make that right. I remember back in the summer, they interviewed someone, a representative from Surrey County Council, and he said, we're hopeful of getting it ready and open for December, pause, but don't bank on it, kind of thing. So yeah, and you can't cut corners with that. It's probably cutting corners that actually caused the problem in the first place. The budget, Raquel from accounts, of course. Rachel reads, yes, the budget, as long as it helps older people or doesn't hinder older people. Yeah, I mean, the businesses have been affected in all sorts, and they can't. It's one of these things you just can't patch it up and hope for the best. They've got to do the job. Come on, you Spurs. Yes, you see the Crystal Palace player that I was waiting for Eze to really get going, apart from the fact that he annoyingly scored the winner against us the other week. But I think he got going yesterday afternoon with 3 rather nice goals. Remember Arthur Originally, his mother used to run the adjoining unit selling baby toddlers clothes. Oh, I didn't know that. Baby toddler clothes. Right, okay. And of course, you've got Waterman's along there. Waterman's Cleaners have been going for many years now. Some people saying if it happened in Japan or China, it would have been fixed by now. Probably. Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, I don't. There must. Well, I don't know where you begin with something like that. You've got to do all sorts of analysis to size the extent of your problem, your work area, before you can start to then say, right, now let's build it up again. So, right. So this is the point where I say, anything else? Any suggestions? I'm sure there was something else that I was going to ask you guys. I did have one response about the graveyard, so yeah, that might be we'll see how that goes. The thing is, there's no standard in terms of how graveyards, or memorials are maybe more appropriately referred to, are logged and indexed. St Mary's Church in Addington, brilliant. Some other churches, well, you just have to go to the parish office and make your inquiries there and hope for the best. Yeah, I wanted him at Spurs. Well, he nearly went to Spurs, didn't he? Prayed for a hat-trick at Spurs as an Arsenal fan. Yeah. Right. All the sand in Godstone is silicon sand. Very fine, very hard to set. Yeah, I just wonder how deep down they need to go. A, to understand what the problem is, and B, to then fix it. My wife's porridge will fill those sandy holes in Godstone. Does she watch the show, Ramsey? And Ramsey, can you tell me where that Sanderstead restaurant is that you mentioned? Which is, I'm scrolling now. Sanderstead Blip. Will I be wearing a Santa hat on the next stream? I did once before. If I can find said Santa hat, I will wear one. Keep my head warm. So that's something to look forward to. Let me see what date that's likely to be. I've done something here now with my calendar. I've ended up on a completely different screen. Boxing Day is 26th, 27th, 28th. The Monday is the... Oh, stop it. Monday is the 29th. Is that right? 29th of December. So it's possible, if not probable, that 29th of December will be the evening. Right, we've got... no, obviously. Latest Heritage at Risk register shows 2 buildings in Croydon most concerned. Leslie Arms and Seagas House. Seagas House, yeah, really been struggling. Andrew to Crailing Channel covered the hole in Godstone. Okay. Have to look out for that. Blip Burgers just a few yards. Oh, I know where Blip is, yes. Is it the end of the parade, I think? And the new kebab shop in Hamsey Green. Devon Link Road was upgraded last year to dual carriageway, now less than a year. There's roadworks. Yeah, you know, it's hard, isn't it? They actually, it's not hard. That's why it keeps breaking up. Yeah, they need to do something. 29th of December, yeah, we'll do like a Noel Edmonds swap shop. Trade unwanted Christmas gifts via the live stream chat. I mean, would it be this time of evening or maybe earlier if it's all holiday time? Maybe I'll do it at 5 o'clock or something. I'll put a poll out in my thing, and you can feel part of the community that you've determined when best to run it. Yes, so some reminders are, if you're interested in a real walk with me and a few others, it won't be a big group, then sign up. Either there's a link on the QR code, or there is a link on my website, so you can just go on to philswaller.com, sign up. That sounds very grand and posh, doesn't it? And professional. But there is, and I've tested it, that if you fill in your details, it populates a spreadsheet, and I get an email, so you won't be lost. It won't be like you're hitting send and it's gone forever, because it'd be some fun. A couple of people have asked me whether I do this stuff as a walk, and that's why I got the idea to think, well, I'll ask you, would you be interested? And I say, a couple of people have signed up, thank you. Get a bit more engagement going, probably New Year, and even if there's just literally a handful of us, we'll just go out, and it'll be a test to see if this sort of thing will work, and we'll gather some feedback over a cup of a hot beverage afterwards. That'd be good. All the grandchildren would have buggered off home. Next month, FIA have managed to give Max Verstappen another drivers' championship. Oh yeah, I don't follow closely, but I kind of follow the main headlines on the Formula One situation. There always seems to be a lot of shenanigans going on for me for that on there. Right, anything else? Any last minute questions, comments, feedbacks, stuff? Please let me know. You can always comment at any time. And also, I've mentioned this briefly in the past, where I do the posts, there is an option for you guys to just post something random out the blue, a subject, and then hopefully all the community will see it. A lady from Seattle posted on there. She follows the channel, used to be in this area, and unfortunately I didn't notice it straight away, because for some reason I didn't have the alerts for that type of post, and hopefully I have now. But it was nice, a nice comment, and I did a reply, but it's kind of, it's not quite the same as a normal social media thing where it's all instant comments and replies and whatever, but I think YouTube want to angle towards that. So thanks very much, Ramsey. Best wishes to Sue. Cool. Right, well, we're about roughly ish the normal duration, and thank you once again. I'm going to do my formal thanks once again, and I spelt it correctly, which is a bonus. But yes, thank you. I really do appreciate these. I really look forward to hosting them. Hopefully you don't mind jumping onto them and getting involved, and then also the numbers afterwards have been pretty good as well for the people who aren't able to. That light's gone again. No, it's a different one this time. It was charged to 100 anyway, but that's my problem. That's not your problem. Get the lights rigged up better. So yes, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And as I say in my videos, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.